Hey, what's up YouTube? We're going to do a quick video today. Hopefully we beat the rain because as usual I'm working outside against the elements. Dropped quite a few degrees here for the fall and it's trying to rain, even though the weatherman says it's not supposed to, but I digress. So what we're doing here is an oil change on a 2012 Nissan Rogue. This has the 2.5 liter in it, CVT. And we're just going to do a quick oil change. So first thing I always like to do is obviously make sure that you're able to get the cap loose, because if you can't get the cap loose, that's going to be kind of a bad day. Plus it helps the oil drain quicker if this is just loose on or lets the air in, so it can drain quicker down at the bottom. So the choice of oil I always use is the Pennzoil, not a sponsor, 5W30 full synthetic platinum, made from natural gas. That's the stuff I usually use. Gonna make sure we fill up the for the winter here, the windshield solvent. I have a can of brake clean just to spray off any extra oil. I use for oil filter of choice is the Wix, and the part number I got on here is 51358. That's gonna be the oil filter I use. I buy them in bulk. These I don't have the part number for, but Dorman makes them too. I got these on Amazon. These are the crush washers. If you check for oil drain plug crush washer for this specific vehicle, I'm sure you'll find them on Amazon just like I did. And then of course we have a funnel. I have a 14 millimeter on a socket wrench here, and I don't know the size of this. I'll try to look it up and put it into the description here. This is for taking the oil filter off, which goes on your 3/8 ratchet. So without further ado, I'm gonna get some light down here on the equation, climb under, and let you see what's involved in doing this. Okay, so I climbed under here, and before I start the actual process, I'm going to just give you a quick visual here. United States, this is the driver's side front tire here. If you swing under, you don't want to drain this. Do not drain this. This is your transmission. You drain that, you're going to be, yeah, so don't do that. You want to go over more towards the passenger side. You're going to see the exhaust here dividing the transmission. So this is your transmission right here. This is your oil drain pan here. That's your exhaust flex pipe. Now keep in mind, you're working around a hot exhaust if you just had the car running. So I'm going to get my catch pan here, and this is a 14 millimeter right here, which is on the back of the oil drain pan. Your oil filter is over by the passenger tire. And if you climb up, I don't know if we'll be able to get any light on it, but yeah, you can see it. That's your old Wix filter right there. And that's on the side of the engine. You gotta pull this little shield back to get to it. So I'm gonna get you on tripod and get recording. Okay, so we are recording. Got my drain pan ready to go. 14, make sure you're on loosen. Go ahead and get that crack loose and draining. And I always keep some paper towels available. And I don't have anything under here. I might have to go get a pick, because what you got to do is you got to take this old crush washer off here. Sometimes you can just spin them off by hand, but we'll see if it cooperates today. It doesn't look like it's going to, so I'll have to go grab a pick, and I'm going to get in there and just kind of pry that off. So I'll let you sit there and watch that drain for a couple minutes, and then I'll be right back. All right, so just to show you here, I pulled that crush washer off, and that's kind of what that looks like. That's the new one that I spun on there. You spin it on with the threads, and what that's going to do is that's going to crush down and make a really good seal on the oil drain. Now it's slowing down to a pretty slow drip right now, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and put the drain plug back in for a minute, just to kind of stop the dripping for a couple seconds. Not tightening it, just putting it back in, and then I can go over here and I can start working on the oil filter. But I need to slide my pan over for that. So before I do that, I'm going to remove my 14 millimeter. Look at my little thing here. I'm going to see if I can get you in there as a better view. Okay, hopefully you can actually see something. Not sure yet. We're going to find out. You probably won't see much, but I'll give you the idea. So you're going to pull this shield back. You could probably see the oil filter here. You're going to want to get your socket up on there, if I can find it. And I do the oil changes, so the oil filters are pretty much hand tight, so it's usually not much of an issue there. And then you can move that out of the way. Make sure your drain pan's in position, like so. And then you can start to crank that loose. Let that drain for a couple minutes there. Okay. Should be slowing up enough there. Oh, can make a mess if you're ready for that. Okay, now sit that aside. Now you got to be careful. I have a feeling that the O-ring did not come off, and it did not. So always make sure you come up here. It's a good example. You want to make sure this O-ring comes off. Otherwise, if you double O-ring it, you could end up causing a major problem. I'm going to reach up there and make sure everything else looks good. It's very rare that happens. I've only had it happen a couple times where the O-ring sticks to it. So now I'm going to grab my clean towel here. And I'm going to go up in there and just kind of clean it up a little bit. Get some of this extra oil residue that came flying out. Make sure there's no debris or anything on here. Okay. Not much to really see. I'll see if I can bring in for a quick close-up here real quick what that looks like. So let's see here. So it gives you an idea. Hopefully you can see that, what that looks like there. That's what the where the oil filter screws on it, so you can see what that looks like there. So I bring you back down, and then I'm going to prepare the new filter. So the new filter, I grab it here. I'm going to put a little bit of oil. You can just use the used motor oil around this O-ring. That's supposed to keep it from sticking and make it come loose easier. So I'll go ahead and apply some oil and get you. All right, like I was saying here, I'm going to grab some of this oil here. Just dip my finger in the pan here and just going to grab some of this oil and put it on this O-ring here. It helps it come loose better. For the next guy. Now, there's a huge debate about pre-filling motor or pre-filling oil filters. I don't think it's really necessary. It can help. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to do on this because this filter here sits horizontal instead of vertical. So, I mean, all the oil is just going to fall right back out of it. So, I don't know what good that's going to do us. Alright, screwing these on. Now these can be a little difficult. Now I'm in an awkward angle, so I could hopefully give you some camera view. Now, these just want a good hand tight. You don't want to, not sending it to the moon. So I use a paper towel, helps me get a little grip there. And then, there we go. Dry it off, that way you can check it for leaks. Give you a quick look at that. Let's see if I can pull this shield back here. Alright, there's your nice new Wix filter installed. Looking good. And you can just pull this flap back, and then we'll get you back on tripod here and show you the next step. Alright, so I'm going to pull our pan back over a little bit. And I'm going to take this out one more time just to make sure there's no residual drainage that needs to take place. I always just put that in there just to keep the from leaking all over my arm while I'm working on the oil filter. I like to get out as much as I can. I mean, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but the more you get out, the cleaner the oil you have inside the engine. Hopefully before the snow starts flying, I'll get a chance to fluid film under here, I'd like to give this hole underneath a good fluid film. It's a good opportunity while you're down here, you know, check for leaks, look at your CV axles. These Nissan Rogues, for whatever reason, like to tear open their CV axles, and the boots like to rip off on them, and I don't know why. Very common. Put your 14 millimeter. I'm sure there's a torquing spec for this, but I just use my brain here. I just like to go in. You'll be able to see, you probably won't see on camera, but I can watch the crush washer crush down, and then it'll come to a stop. Let me get clean my wrench a little bit. It's all covered in oil. And then that's all the tighter you want it, just enough that you know it's not going to leak. You don't want it so that you have to use an impact gun to get it off the next time. So I'm sure there's, like I said, a torquing spec on there, but I've never really paid any attention to that stuff. I've never had a problem. I just use my brain. Okay, so then I like to take brake clean and just give everything a quick little whoop, whoop. That way, while I still have the catch pan. There we go. That way I can look for leaks later too. Alright, so everything looks pretty good down here. I'm just going to leave everything be. And then we're going back up top to fill the oil up. So stay tuned for that process. Alright, we're back up top here. I make sure my funnel looks nice and clean, which it does. It's beautiful. And go ahead and remove the oil cap. Probably got these stupid things in your way. They pop that in there. Takes 4.7 quarts of the 5W30. You can run conventional in these engines. Like I said, I run the Platinum Full Synthetic oil on these. And we're going to go ahead. I put the entire 5 quarts in. I'm sure somebody out there is going to troll me in the comments for that, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's really not that much more. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. So I just dumped the whole 5 quarts in, because I mean, we're talking with such a minimal amount of difference between 4.7 and 5 quarts. I just dumped the whole thing in. I've been doing this for well over 100,000 miles on these engines of oil changes, and I've never had it be an issue. I've never had any tapping or any kind of foaming of the oil from it being overfilled. It's usually, if you look at the dipstick after you do this, it's usually right on a full mark anyway. So all right, like I said, not a sponsor, but I will say I do really like the Pennzoil flavor of oil. Reason why I do enjoy this oil so much and appreciate it is because when I did some recent work on an engine that has been majority of the life of the engine, because I change my oil every 3,000 miles, which I know some of you guys are going to say is absolutely ridiculous. However, I would never go according to some of these user manuals that say like 7 or 10,000 miles. That's just absolutely ridiculous, especially in the climate in which that we live. Where we have a lot of hilly terrains, a lot of changes in weather, which build up moisture in the oil. You know, we go through a full 4 seasons here in Pittsburgh, PA. So, like I said, I'm not a fan of the regular schedule maintenance. I do mine a little bit overkill. So, cheap paper towels. You do what you want. I mean, I mean, obviously do what the manufacturer recommends, but I look at it from a car guy point of view. I like knowing my engine has really clean oil in it, and that way I can make sure that I don't have any issues. Now, this vehicle doesn't get driven nearly as much as my vehicle does. This is my friend's car, and so it doesn't get driven nearly as much as mine does. So I only end up doing 2 oil changes a year on this car. To be completely honest, it's not even at 3,000 miles, but it's over by like 4 months. So I figured, oh, I'm just going to change it because winter's coming. I'd like to have some fresh oil in it. So that's pretty much it. I'm gonna start it up and let it run, check it for leaks real quick, and then once I go under, make sure there's no leaks or anything like that, then I will go through and reset the maintenance on it here. Alright, I will check the level to make sure it's full. On this dipstick, it's going to be right below this little bevel. There's an H with a little circle. That's the full mark. So once it runs for a bit and I get it on level, I'm going to let it sit 5 minutes. I'm going to pull the dipstick and check to make sure the oil is up to that level. I have no reason to believe it won't be, but it's just good practice just to make sure. So I'll do that. I won't film that, that's why I showed you now. Just go underneath and look for leaks. Still got the light on down here. There's the drain plug, looks nice and dry. But take a look at that filter. No dripping, nice and dry on that filter, so that's good. Good time to check all your other stuff like your CV axles and everything. Make sure that they're in good condition, which they do appear to be. Just change them, they better be. Looks good. Outer one looks good. These are new control arms and everything. These are newer CV axles, so I'm sure they're fine. Okay, so we'll go back up and I will show you how to do the reset. Okay, so I hope this picks up on here. I'm going to try to show you how to reset the maintenance. This is, like I said, on your 2012 Nissan Rogue. So this little guy right here, if you turn it to the right, which would be clockwise, it brings up the menu, and you keep turning it until you get down to maintenance, and then you push it in. We're going to go down to service. See, it's at 2,840 out of 3,000. That's what I have mine set. I have mine set for 3,000. Push it again to reset, and boom, your maintenance monitor's reset. Tires, I'm going to go ahead and reset them because I'm going to check the tread, make sure they don't need rotated. If they do need rotated, I will do that. But I'm just going to go ahead and reset that monitor too, just because I'm going to do that now. Check the air pressure, check for nails, all that good jazz. And then clockwise, or I'm sorry, counterclockwise. And then go back counterclockwise to exit, and you're back. So that is reset. I'm gonna peel off this Advanced Auto sticker there. I will write the new mileage, plant that up there for a reminder. That's pretty much it. So hopefully this helps somebody out. Like I said, this isn't necessarily a hard job, but I just figured somebody out there might want some guidance on changing oil. I do apologize, I talk a lot. That's just because I like to be extremely detailed and make sure that I'm thorough in explaining things. So hopefully this helps, and please rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.